Hey all, Michael Lunsford here, Citizens for New Louisiana. And the other day I told you about Kevin Blanchard and his $1 million project that he wants to do a study. I say a project. He wants to study doing a project. Back in the old days, we used to call that fixing to get ready. So he doesn't exactly know what he wants to do, but he wants to study it. And it'll only cost you $1 million. Well, in that video, Monique Boulay vetoed that foolishness, and we still, we'll see what happens. But I told you there was a $2.4 million surplus in the Downtown Economic Development District. So that got me thinking, well, what else is in there? And let's talk about the story of the Downtown Economic Development District, because in 2019, I told you exactly what was going to happen, and guess what has happened? Big surprise, they're taking money out of the economy, and they are not doing anything with it, but paying salaries and compliance costs to attorneys and themselves, of course, to maintain the compliance with the state of Louisiana. They have to push a bunch of paper, and in order to push paper, they have to pay themselves, right? I told you that's what they were going to do with it back then. Now, history, real quick. 2019, Anita Begnaud was working at the Chamber of Commerce, also known as One Acadiana. She was the governmental affairs person, I believe. I forget the exact title. I've got it around here somewhere. But she had this great brainchild, which was, we're going to do an economic development district downtown because we have to do a sewer lift station downtown. Well, long story short, she got her downtown development district. She also had to get 4 others as part of the deal because she had to get enough support to vote to raise your taxes without your consent from all these different folks on the city council. So she allowed them to do their own districts. Well, next thing you know, there's 5 of them total. They're all in minority districts. So if you're in a minority district, you're paying higher taxes, generally speaking, in these districts. And they were all approved by the city council. And yes, I know what you're going to ask me next. Kenneth Boudreau voted for them. He was on the council back then, and he voted yes to raise taxes in minority parts of town. Don't know why. Actually, I do know why, because they promised that it's going to make town better. It's now been, this is the 7th year. And have you seen any major improvements in any parts of town where these things are? Not really. And I can tell you how much money they've spent on making it better. 0. They've used it all on compliance and salaries. That's it. So let's look at that real quick. We're still working through the history. So Anita Begnaud eventually becomes the person in charge of Downtown Development Authority. She leaves the Chamber of Commerce, becomes the director of DDA. The tax comes up. It comes up once every 15 years for the salaries of DDA employees. Effectively, is all they pay for. So she ran a campaign under DDA's auspices to say, vote yes for our tax so that we can continue to have jobs. Well, we submitted that information, quite a bit of information, to the legislative auditor, and it made the report. And we told you about it at the time. Let me read to you from the legislative auditor report talking about the misappropriation of public funds from the Downtown Development Authority. It's under the section fraud notice. It says, we obtained a listing of misappropriations of public funds during the fiscal period and management representations that the listing was complete. Which misappropriation was that? The government used public funds to participate in the urging of electors to vote for a proposition. In accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 18-1465, the use of public funds to urge any elector to vote for or against any proposition is prohibited. So we caught them. They were spending your tax dollars to convince you to vote for another tax. It made the report. Anita Begnaud quit as soon as the report comes out. She moved to Virginia for, 15 or 20 minutes. She's now back in Lafayette, working for a nonprofit, I think, somewhere in town. At any rate, less important now. But now Kevin Blanchard is in charge. He has been for, since 2024. And that's where we pick up on our paperwork. So I told you $2.4 million in surplus. Let's go look at that in addition to the other 4 districts. So we're going to do a little bit of handy-dandy math here. So fund balance ending for the current year, which is 2024, the most recent we have on hand. The new one comes out in July, so we won't know for a while what the new fund balance is. It's going to be higher. Probably another $500,000 or more. So anyway, let's go look at this. Let's $2 million $460,895. Then we have the University Gateway Economic Development District. That goes from this is the University Avenue from I-10 down to Cameron Street. It's a bunch of gas stations and businesses. And they've, again, just carved out all the residents. Is $2,006,087. We're going to add in, so the Trap A Economic Development District's over there by the river. There's like a Circle K or something in the district. $11,743. And then there is the Northway Economic Development District. For, if you don't know what that is, that's effectively the Home Depot on the Evangeline Thruway right there by I-10. Is the only thing really in it. It's the Northgate Mall, but really the only thing that does any business is that Home Depot. So when you shop at that Home Depot, you're paying an extra 1 cent sales tax. Their fund balance is $1,738,789. Finally, we have the Holy Rosary Institute, which again is just a gas station or like a Dollar General or something. $102,325 for a grand total of $6,319,839 through 2024. That is removed from the economy and spent on what? And that is what I wanted to go look at. So $6.3 million. What do you think they spent the money on? By the way, this is not just what they collected. This is what's left over after they spent whatever they've spent. We went back and looked, and I'm going to show you. Let's jump in real quick. I'm going to show you where you can get this information yourself. So here we are. This is the Lafayette Consolidated Government website, LafayetteLA.gov. We're going to go to the Your Government section, and then there's a Finance and Management right here. I don't know if you see that. We're going to click on that. It takes us, it's got all this stuff, but all we really care about are the financial reports. Let's open that up. Current Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Now, if you want to do the same research I did, you're going to go back and do the archived ones or the audited financial statements. Either one of these, any of these are fine. But this one is going to have the history. So we're just going to look at the most recent one, which is 2024. And in order to go find the right page, I think it's page 190. We're just going to go search for Lafayette EDD. And there it is, the third hit. So it starts right here on page 190. There it is. So there's the 2.4 million. Then you can scroll down. You can see the University Gateway is 2 million. We see Trap A is 11,000. We see Northway, which is over the Northgate Mall there, $1.7 million extracted from the north side right there. That they've done what with? And $102,000 for Holy Rosary, the Dollar General over there. So if we go back and we look at all of these, you'll notice they're very similar. They only have one expenditure: general government, professional, and technical services. All of them are exactly the same, and they like this every single year for the last 5 years. Professional, technical services. There's no capital outlay. There are no projects. There's nothing. It's all professional and technical services. So what does that mean? They're paying bureaucrats salaries with the money they're raising, and they're not spending it to make Lafayette a better place like they promised they would do almost 7 years ago. Is how long ago that this has been going on. So the question now becomes, why in the world do we have these districts to begin with? The answer is because they said this is going to make Lafayette a better place. So I would encourage you, pay attention to this stuff. Call the Lafayette City Council. Ask them to repeal these. They can repeal them. They'll tell you they can't, but I'll get into the details on how they can repeal them maybe in a future video. But the issue that we keep running into is the incessant desire to raise taxes. And they lie to you and they tell you the reason we're raising taxes is for your own good. And now we see the reason they're raising taxes is to stick it in some savings account that they never even think about or look at until Kevin says, hey, I want to do a study to figure out what we should be spending money on. And it'll only cost $1 million. A study. He wants to spend money to find out what we should spend money on. Keep reading documents, y'all. We'll be back. Stay tuned. We got more.